welcome to Culture here on I-24 News. I'm Oded Grober. Thank you for joining me. Today on our show, we'll talk to the producer and creator of the show False Flag. We'll see fashion inspired by infamous drug lords and discuss the controversy surrounding the Oscars' lack of racial diversity. We begin with what is probably the most watched Israeli TV drama ever, False Flag. The show tells the story of 5 Israelis who wake up one morning to find their pictures and passports on the news, connecting them to a high-profile kidnapping of an Iranian minister. False Flag immediately sparked international curiosity and sold to air around the world. It's my pleasure to welcome the show's producer and co-creator, Maria Feldman, to our studio. Thank you for coming in, Maria. It's really great to have you.
Thank you for inviting me.
So let's go back a few years and tell me, where did the idea come from? How did it start?
It started about 5 years ago, even more than 5 years ago. I was thinking of the story, the real thriller espionage story that could be told through the eyes of regular people and not through the eyes of the agents or spies. And the Mabrouch assassination in Dubai happened a few months earlier, and I thought that it could be a great opening for the series to see the names and pictures of people who kidnapped in the real story. It was Mabrouch, a Hamas guy, and they killed him. And everybody thought that it's Mossad agents, but I thought that it could be a great start for the story to see that the regular people, they don't know what everybody's talking about, they're not connected to Mossad. And that's how the idea started.
At least that's how it begins. Now, you're the producer of the show, and you were a producer before that, but you're also the co-creator, which is quite uncommon. How did it differentiate from just being a producer on the show?
I normally am very involved in the content of the shows I produce. In this case, I was even more involved. I developed the story together with the co-creator, Amit Cohen, and I was more involved at the shooting period, but it was not greatly different. It was more involvement on that level, but...
So you have the idea, you know, it's also connected to real-life events of the Al-Mabrouch assassination. What do you do next? How do you go about turning this lovely idea into a real show? Because there are many points along the way that it can still fail.
Right. I'm not a writer, so the most I could write at first was the one-pager of the story, and I came with that to Keshet, which is the leading Israeli broadcaster, and they loved the idea, but they said, okay, now you need to find the writer. And it was not easy. I was thinking who can write it for a long time. And I heard about Amit, who back then was a reporter for Ma'ariv. But everybody told me he's too busy. He's writing now his first TV series, and he's also a reporter. You need somebody like him, but he can't do it. And I said, okay, you know what? I want to meet him anyway. And we met, and he fell in love with the idea, and he immediately wanted to write it, and the rest is history.
It really is history, because this show did something that I've never heard of before, ever. I don't know if it's because of me or because it really didn't happen. Because usually a show airs, and then if it succeeds, it can sell maybe, you know, get remade or something like that. But this show, before the public has seen a second of it, already became an international success.
That's true. It is really unusual, and it was very surprising for us. When a year ago, when we were just finished shooting and were editing the first episode, Keshet International, who is the distributor, they sent the rough cut, the unfinished episode, to the Berlinale Festival Committee. And we didn't know that they're sending it. And all of a sudden, we get a call from Keshet, and they are saying to us, congratulations, you've been accepted to be one of the 8 new series that are going to be shown, have it premiere at the Berlinale Film Festival. Alongside,
how do you feel at that moment? Is it more stressful or more joyous?
I was really stressed and terrified because, first of all, it's alongside Better Call Saul, which was, by me, the most anticipated show of that year. and the episode was not finished, and we were really unsure if the episode is good. Well, now we know that it's good, but still we need to finish it. We had 2 weeks to wrap the whole thing. And we flew to Berlinale. And after that, we got invited to Serious Mania.
Yeah.
And there we won the first prize, the Audience Award prize. We shared the first prize with Olive Kitteridge, which
a
is
little known miniseries by HBO.
Another amazing series
show
that I was just proud to be, in the same,
in the same
room with these
right.
people. And yeah, so it was a huge success. But, we are... we are very nervous people, and we thought, okay, if everybody at the festivals love it so much, so probably the normal, wide audience gonna hate it, right?
Because you thought it was too sophisticated.
Maybe it's too sophisticated. The story is too complicated. Maybe it's too slow. We were very scared before it aired in Israel, and we could never guess that it will get a very high rating.
Now, what about its international appeal? Did you know from the get-go that it has this potential? Did you aim for it?
We did not aim for it, but we felt that it might have. And back then, 5 years ago, when we just started with Keshet, everybody thought about remakes. Mm-hmm. The big thing back then was remake, like the
Homeland.
Israeli Homeland, Prisoners of War, Hatufim, which was sold and became a remake. Mm-hmm. So that's what everybody thought, that is the best on international level that can happen to a series. But now we see that the series works as is, and it was sold to all those countries.
To be broadcasted either in Hebrew or dubbed or subtitled, which is an incredible achievement. I guess in a way it makes you prouder that the thing you actually worked on will sell rather than get remade.
Absolutely. And it's also my show. The remakes, they make their own thing.
Yeah.
It can be great, can be better than your show, but it's not yours anymore.
Yeah.
Here it's my show, and it's...
What do you think sets it apart from other shows that we've seen? I mean, it has production value that's sometimes an issue with content that's created in a small environment such as Israel. Did you have a huge budget, or were you just able to... How did...
We had the regular budget for the primetime dramas. I think the production value, all the credit goes to our amazing director, Oded Raskin, who can do great things with not a lot of shooting days, not a lot of money. And the actors, we had an amazing cast.
More in general, working now in this international market, when everything is either thought of to appeal to international audiences, or eventually does, do you think that it's a positive thing, or is it maybe we'll turn down, create fewer ideas in the market?
I think it's a great thing, both for the audience that can now watch series from around the world. We watch Danish series, and Americans will always watch it, but now we can watch whatever. And also for the creators, because everything I create can be broadcasted everywhere.
Maria, it looks like you've had a wonderful year or two with it, and I hope that the next few years will be just the same, and I'm looking forward to season 2. I want to know what's happening. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Moving on now. Cinema, fashion, and crime have been linked for as long as they've existed. Real-life crime lords have started fashion trends the same way films like The Godfather have. Daniel Campos now tells us about the latest fashion icon from Mexico.
Gangster fashion has always caught our attention in cinema.
Hey, Mom, what do you think?
You look like a gangster.
From the classy suits worn by the Italian Lucchese crime family in the non-fiction film Goodfellas, to those worn by fictional character Michael Corleone in The Godfather.
This is business.
From the furry and the elegant fashion imposed by African-American Harlem heroin dealer Frank Lucas, depicted in the 2000 feature film American Gangster, to the tropical shirts of Cuban fictitious mobster Tony Montana from Scarface.
I always know one day I'm coming here, United States.
His sunglasses still remain in fashion after all these years. But Montana is now being ousted by a new fashion icon, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. The ruthless head of the Sinaloa drug cartel has unexpectedly become a fashion icon. Shirts similar to the one worn by El Chapo have been flying off the shelves at a store in Dallas, Texas, following the recent release of a photograph showing the Mexican drug lord was American actor Sean Penn. El Chapo style didn't go unnoticed, partly thanks to Rolling Stone magazine, who published the article a day after the capture of the Mexican drug pin. At the Dallas-based store Gomez, the paisley-patterned shirts made by the company Barrabás have quickly sold out, while other stores across the United States noted similar consumer trends. Barrabás company even used a photo of Guzman and Penn to promote the shirts on its website, causing the website to crash once news of the interview broke out. Is it morally wrong to follow the dress code of mobsters and drug lords with blood in their hands?
In this country, you gotta make the money first. Then when you get the money, you get the power. Then when you get the power, then you get the woman.
That is a question fashion critics will have to answer.
In a moment, we'll ask, why are the Oscars so white? But first, here's our cultural recommendation for today.
The National Galleries of Scotland invite you to start the year with their annual display of British master J.M.W. Turner's watercolor paintings. The works have been bequeathed to the National Gallery by collector Henry Vaughan. Turner's watercolors span his entire career, from early topographical wash drawings to atmospheric sketches of continental Europe from the 1830s and 40s. Vaughan explicitly stipulated that the delicate watercolors should be exhibited to the public all at one time, free of charge, during the month of January. And that's exactly how the gallery presents them for over a century. The limited exposure has resulted in the works retaining their luminous colors and pristine condition.
Daniel Roth is joining me now in the studio. Hey, Daniel, how are you?
I'm all right. I'm all right.
I'm very happy to hear that.
Yes.
There's some, it was Martin Luther King Day just the other day, and also the Oscars nominations were announced not too long ago. And there's controversy, not different from what we've seen last year, which I
Absolutely.
guess just makes it worse.
Yes, so the hashtag that's erupted is Oscars So White.
Yeah.
And this is referring last year, of course, and this year again to the basically absence of people of color in the nomination field. Of the 40 actors nominated, zero are people of color.
Amazing. That's incredible. That just, mathematically that doesn't work.
Right, and when you look around, there are these incredible films from this year that people say it's not just that this excuse there weren't people to nominate, there weren't films to nominate. You have Creed, and you have Beasts of No Nation, and you have all of these incredible films.
It's 2 years in a row.
2 years, and so this has led
And it's
to...
not that, like, before it was, like, something
Right, but
drastically different.
it's the worst showing. Last year was the worst showing since 1997, and so actually this has led to a call for boycott from the director Spike Lee and Jada Pinkett Smith, calling for people to boycott these Oscars because they don't represent people of color. And we have a short clip of this.
Let's see.
The Academy has the right to acknowledge whomever they choose, to invite whomever they choose. And now I think that it's our responsibility now to make the change. Maybe it is time that we pull back our resources and we put them back into our communities, into our programs, and we make programs for ourselves that acknowledge us in ways that we see fit, that are just as good as the so-called mainstream ones.
Jada Pinkett Smith definitely saying some truth there. And also, as you said, Spike Lee announced he's not going to attend the Oscars. And that's coming from someone who received an honorary Oscar. When was it? Last year?
Recently.
Very recently.
But they're getting very serious about it. It's a serious call that they're, and they're not just calling on people of color to boycott. They're calling on everyone to sort of stand apart from these Oscars and say, look, this is not reasonable. When you have actors like Will Smith in Concussion, you have Idris Elba, you have Tessa Thompson in Creed, and you look around and you see the screenplay for Straight Outta Compton is nominated, but it's written by 2 white people. When you see Creed, which is about a young black boxer.
It's getting pretty ridiculous. I saw a cartoon on The New Yorker saying that they're going to do a Martin Luther King biopic, but they're going to cast a white guy because it's going to have better Oscar chances. Daniel Roth, we'll see if it changes next year. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you at home for watching. We'll be back tomorrow, of course, with another edition of Culture. So please join us then.